Hollywood is oftentimes a dirty and disgusting place. Not in the sense that there's debris on the street, which of course there is, but in the sense that there are open secrets such as casting couches, underage interludes, and drug use, which are outright ignored. This week was a case in point in that it was actually reviewed by the trade papers and the Hollywood press, and it was done so in a very veiled, sympathetic way and even a blasé manner. I am, of course, referring to the story of Roman Polanski.
Ladies and gentlemen, hiss and foes, welcome to the Culture Casino!
As I prepped for my new Tuesday midday livestream, I came across a troubling story. Now, I would like to be as well informed as I can be about things before I present them to you, so I kept the story close to the vest because I needed to confirm what I thought I knew about it, and for a change, my memory proved accurate. But I'm glad I delayed the story, and I'm glad I delayed because it continued to develop. What was first picked up by Deadline and then Vanity Fair and then bounced around like a ping pong ball everywhere else was the story of Roman Polanski's expulsion from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, and his desire actually to be reinstated, which is what the current story was about. Since I imagine some of you watching today have no idea who this man is or what he did, I'll go ahead and recap and share some history with you. Roman Polanski was a producer, but primarily a director in Hollywood. He gained additional notoriety when his young wife, Sharon Tate, was killed by the Manson family just over 51 years ago now. That was back in 1969. She was a 26-year-old woman that was 8.5 months pregnant at the time of her murder, and Roman was in Europe working on a film, which wasn't uncommon. He worked all over the world. He made several films after this, and of course that tragedy, while marking him a bit, he remarried and went on to remarry a couple of times, I believe. And in 1977, after all of this had happened, he was arrested at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel for for the drugging and forced carnal cuddle of a 13-year-old girl. He pled not guilty to all 6 criminal counts, those criminal behavior activities that he had engaged in, and at the time that all of this happened, he was 43 years old. That's a 30-year age difference, guys. This resulted in the court sending him for mental evaluation. His legal representation, along with a laundry list of Hollywood elites at the time, were pushing for very light treatment. This led to a plea bargain that Polanski agreed to, whereby he would plead guilty to engaging in unlawful adult activity, words intentionally changed, with the other charges being dropped. Prior to sentencing, Polanski was led to believe that the judge was not going to abide by the terms of the plea bargain, and he fled the day before sentencing. To this day, Polanski's movements are limited to France, Switzerland, and Poland, for fear of being picked up by Interpol and delivered to the United States. He is I think they call it a permanently red-marked person with Interpol, something like that. Not good. Since 1978, this person that I'm speaking about has been a U.S. fugitive on our wanted list. During the next few decades, Hollywood continued to come to Roman's defense. Of course. He was actually allowed to maintain his status with the Academy. When he was arrested in 2009 in Switzerland, over 100 Hollywood elites crafted and signed a petition for Roman to be released. To this day, only 3 of those have recanted or renounced their decision. Finally, as a result of the Me Too and Time's Up movement, the Academy finally removed him from their ranks as a member in May of 2018. Their statement was only about 40 years too late, and it read as, well, in part it read as follows. The board continues to encourage ethical standards that require members to uphold the Academy's values of respect for human dignity. In light of recent global issues, and many that are a little bit closer to home here in the US, why did I just give you this very disturbing history lesson? Well, this man, well, clearly not a man, this person has been trying to slither his way back into the Academy ever since his expulsion. And that's how we ended up with these stories from Deadline and Vanity Fair. To that end, he filed suit against the Academy for their denial of his due process. Well, at least their due process and their action against him. While the case may have had merit, it certainly would not have changed the outcome. So it was expected that this was kind of tilting at windmills. And no matter what, we wouldn't see him as a member regardless. But due process would have given Roman 10 days to respond of what would have normally, or to respond to what would obviously have already been a decided matter. So of course of note here is that Bill Cosby was expelled the same day that Roman was, so he shared a similar company for his acts. While not overly glowing about Polanski's accomplishments, Vanity Fair wrote a very balanced story for a rag that usually falls on the extreme alt-left. This is likely because going back a few years, they lost a libel case, I believe, and they had to pay Polanski damages. So, since printed media is no longer trusted and much less consumed nowadays, Vanity Fair was probably trying to avoid any further financial exposure. Deadline, on the other hand, has published in various forms positive stories on Roman Polanski and his accomplishments during his time as a fugitive. Of course, they covered Weinstein positively as well previously. So, I digress. When Deadline published a follow-up on this story, it covered the actual results of the court proceeding. Of course, as a fugitive in the United States, Polanski was represented by his attorney here, as stepping into this country would yield him the justice that he truly has deserved and has to this point avoided. It turns out that the judges found no reason to change the decision, and they actually wrote an opinion, or what eventually became the deciding opinion, by Judge Mary Strobel, and it read as follows. Here, petitioner was given the opportunity to present any evidence he deemed relevant to the board's consideration of whether he should or should not remain a member of the Academy in light of his criminal conviction and fugitive status. Which means, sorry, you were given an opportunity to respond. Maybe it wasn't as much time as you'd hoped for, but you're pretty much gone. For now, the Fredo, as we're calling them, will be denied membership in the institution that honored him 20 years after he had already attained his fugitive status. Interesting. Consider this as recently as 2003, the Academy gave him an Oscar for his film The Pianist. You can clearly see where these folks' priorities have fallen for a very, very long time. That's like 40 years, isn't it? Anyway. Last but not least, he was recently presented with 3 Caesar Awards, which are given in France for his recent film An Officer and a Spy. Actually, that launched a hullabaloo all of its own, which was kind of surprising in France, because they're a little more crazy over there. Anyway, we don't know what the results of that'll be, but it seems like the entire jury that selected those awards resigned because of the uproar. So, anyway, it's often been said that the company that you keep in Hollywood supposedly says much about you. With their arms wrapped around this person so tightly for so very long, what does that say about so many of them in Hollywood? this issue isn't going to go away. It's one that we continue to see stories on a daily basis as many celebrities flee their Hollywood homes in favor of foreign climates, so to speak. Well, that's the story for today, or at least that's the story about Roman Polanski for the day, and the video that I decided to make. So do a little research if you'd like. Everything I've told you is accurate for the most part. Perhaps my wording wasn't, but I'm not allowed to use certain words on YouTube, and so you'll have to forgive me. Be sure to support other independent creators here on YouTube because like Josiah Rises, who's recently covered many stories on this particular subject, we're about the last chance you have to get any accurate and relevant information since the mainstream media has abandoned the idea of being direct, forthright, and as unbiased as possible. Now, while I may have some bias and others may as well, we still give you the best opportunity to suss the information for yourself. Anyway, I digress. Thank you for being here today. I truly appreciate your support. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands. Of course, do that for 20 seconds. You'll have clean hands, I promise, and stop spreading whatever disease happens to be going around at a particular time. And until next time, bye.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.